Welcome to the video. We're going to talk about generators today. They can be a lot of fun, but they can also be very useful because as it generates all these different randomized ideas based on the musical rules that you set up. But as you listen to all these random generated ideas, you can just stop the process and select the generated phrase and save it and call it something and name it and put it in one of your folders down here, any folder that you create. So let's do a demonstration of that. We've got piano chord generator here, chord pattern generator. I'm going to just drag it in, and I've got 2 bars of it set up in my generator, so you can determine, as we've said before, how many bars you want of that idea you want to drag in. So we'll set it at 2 today. And you can also listen to a preview up here by turning on the preview button. And we won't today, but we've talked about this before, and you can turn on and off that little visual preview of all the different patterns and generated ideas. All right, so we have a pattern. We have it selected. And if the looper wasn't on, so if the looper was off, hold down your shift and click on it. But we know that we have set up a hotkey that when we select whatever phrase, we can just hit our P key and it immediately turns it on, starts to play it and loop it. But with the generator, you get one other great option, and it really is a great option. And I'm just going to drag out this track a little bit bigger so we can see it in all its glory. But you see this lightning bolt icon right here. If I turn it on, it turns kind of a bright orange or yellow. And again, if we just hit play, it'll loop it, but you'll see what it does. So I think you get the idea. So anytime you like whatever it produces, again, just make sure it's selected, right click and go to the cogwheel and save as and choose your folder and choose your name of it. And then remember to highlight this and click down with your mouse and it will save it into your folder. But what a great demonstration of the power of the generators for ideas. And you may ask, well, what is it randomizing here? It sounds like beautiful staccato strings. What a great way to just get idea after idea after idea and pick the best ones. Well, it's all because it's a generator, and we're going to look at, before we're going to look at it, we're going to turn that off, and we're going to go in and right click and actually look at what the generator is. And each time you use a generator, when you go to this, it will give you the tab of generator and rhythm. So any generator has a rhythm tab and a generator. Now these tabs are always here, but they're only going to be activated when you're right clicking on to edit a generated type of phrase. Now, I should also say that if you were to take this phrase and render it down because maybe you've saved it and you want to now edit it further, so you've hit your R, and now you notice that it goes from a generated phrase to rendered. And now if I right click on it, we still have the rhythm tab, like I just mentioned, we still have generator, but they're not active. So just remember, when you use a generator, it will generate all these different random ideas within the constraints of the musical rules that you set up in that generator. But as soon as you render it down, then it goes into a different mode and it's no longer part of the live generator system. All right. So now let's go back using the undo button. And now it's a pattern generator. We right click, and just like that, we get our rhythm active and our generator active. Now the rhythm is going to adjust anything to do with the rhythm, and it has multiple ways, all these different rhythm engines within the rhythm tab. And each one, as I click on them, is going to affect the notes in different ways according to their specific rule set. So you have new type of rhythms, old, simple subdivisions, polyrhythms, and each one has a set to give you endless and endless types of rhythmic feel to these notes. And I'll just leave it up to you to go through here. But all these tabs have certain things in common. Anytime you see a lightning bolt, that means it can regenerate the idea. Like I just clicked on it and it has an R next to it, that means it's going to regenerate rhythm. So it's just regenerating rhythm. It's not adding a bunch of notes. It's considering the rhythm and chopping it up in different ways. Now you might see other types of lightning bolts and they will affect different things. So, and then if it isn't already set up, if this, what you're doing up here, isn't affecting your notes down here, check to make sure that it is still a rhythm generator and check to make sure that you are applying it to the selection. Now I'll tell you, sometimes it does it automatically. Sometimes you have to apply it by using this button. But if it's not affecting your notes and you're making changes, it's either because it's not a generator or you're forgetting to apply what you're doing up here to your phrase. All right, let's talk more about this. So there's also a couple buttons down here, a play button, and that's going to highlight the rhythm that's going on here so your ears can hear the changes quicker, and a loop button, and it has a special generator randomizer button down here that's pertaining to the rhythm. And so you can do that and it will change the rhythmic slicing up here, as you can see as I click on it, which are affecting the notes. Now you may find a rhythm that you like and if you want to save the rhythm. Now remember, Rapid Composer is smart enough to keep everything modular. So this will save, this hamburger button here will save the rhythm in the rhythm, modern rhythm library tab, right? And so it will show up as a possible preset that you will have. So that's what you're doing here, and I'll cancel that. What you're doing when you save it here, you're saving this particular slicing rhythm effect that is affecting this particular phrase. So if you like that type of rhythm, you save it as a preset. Now, if you like this entire preset with the rhythm and you want to save the entire thing as a MIDI file, you would right click and save it as in the cogwheel, as like I've mentioned before. So just remember, the program is smart enough to let you save something as a whole, or just say you may just like that particular rhythm and want to apply the rhythm to any type of MIDI in the future. So that's a great feature of Rapid Composer. Now let's go to the Generator tab. And we also see the similar buttons down here. This lightning bolt means the entire thing will be regenerated. So it will randomize everything according to these rules up here. So you're always going to be within like a piano chord pattern feel, but within those constraints and rules, you'll be able to make many, many changes, save the rhythm, save the notes, or save the entire thing. So you always have many, many options. You'll also see that on many of these panels, an auto apply can be set, so you don't have to always hit that apply button because it's very easy to forget to hit apply. So I usually just set it to auto apply and then I can make change after change. Now each one of these toggles will change something in this phrase. And because it has to do with piano, it's featuring a right hand, different things, rules you can set up, and a left hand rule, which is great because as you randomize, you will see it affect both because they're both highlighted here. But maybe you like what the left hand is playing, in this case, the low notes, and you just want to mess around and randomize different musical ideas with the right hand playing. So in that case, you would turn off left hand, and now you just have the right hand, and you can randomize. So let's randomize the right hand a little bit, but we'll see when we turn the left hand on, it's still those bass notes down here. Those haven't changed. So endless variety of changes that you can make with the generator. You can affect how many notes, how many octaves they will play on. You can affect where the bass note is, the harmonies of the bass note, and each generator is different. Each generator offers a whole different set of tabs and musical rules that you can affect, and it gives you this big display which you can make bigger, and you can see it update as you're moving these different possibilities around. And often, if it's going really well and you've made some changes, but you just want to affect the rhythm, you want, like say you want it a little bit slower. It's sounding, I like where the notes are, I like the harmonies, I like the feel of it, the motion, but I want the rhythm to be maybe something in a retro feel of rhythm. So the retro will again give you all kinds of extra ideas. So, it would be impossible to showcase all this, but I think you get the idea. And so back to the generator. Now, often you'll see a little heart. This particular one doesn't have a heart, but if there was a little heart, and I'll show you that next, and that gives you built-in really useful presets pertaining to that particular panel. So let's just make a few changes, let it play because we have it on the looper. And you'll notice also that I'm playing this with short strings, staccato strings, and it sounds good, even though it's really meant for piano like I mentioned. But that's the versatility. It's generating interesting musical events, in this case under a C or an A major, and I've chosen the A major chord and the B minor chord, but it's so versatile. That's what I'm trying to impress upon people. The system is completely liquid. You're not dealing with patterns and ideas that are written in stone, and a pattern that you have to um, try to fix, or it's very written in stone. This is all liquid, so I could easily just go up here and go from a major to the minor, and you see everything update. Now it'll have a slightly different sound to it. So I hope you're getting the idea. Now I'm going to show you more examples because there's a whole lot of interesting things you can do in here. All right, so now we've switched to a piano instrument, and we're going to bring in a piano run generator, and we've got it set to 4 bars. So it's going to bring in a big 4 bars of these piano run. But you notice because it's a run, it's not going to just continually, so it's going to give us a full run. But in this case, some generators are preset on how many bars they're going to drop in. And this is one of those very specific generators. But let's say that we just wanted one measure of a piano run. Now, if I have it selected, and notice it's a generator, it's in generation state, you don't make the mistake of holding down control and cutting it, because just to get that one and then take this one and delete it, because you'll notice that it's been rendered. So what you would do if you just wanted one, you would start off, first of all, you could just say you wanted 1 bar of a generator, and that's one way you could drag it in. But another way would be to, let's again set it at like a 3 bar, drag it in, and you notice that it will repeat. So if you place it, you will just get the 3 bars, but if you drag it in and release it here, it will fill up whatever measures. So just keep in mind how this engine works. But back to the point I'm trying to make. Let's say that you no longer want these 3 bars, but you want it to still be a generator, and we just witnessed that if I slice it, it will be automatically rendered. Okay, so what would you do? Do you have to delete this and then bring another one? No, you could go over here till you get the highlighted end of it, hold down Control and just drag it to that one bar, and you'll get what you want, and it'll still be a generator. So now we can right click, and sure enough, we get the rhythm tab and we get the generator tab. All right, so I wanted to mention that because nobody wants to be frustrated inside of such a powerful and fun to use program. Next, we're going to talk about what we can do with a run generator and what happens when you use it for maybe a different instrument. So let's listen to what we have. And I can just hit the P key if I want it instantly to loop and play what we've got selected. I hit P. So I'll just stop it here and remind you how important hotkeys are for such a big and interesting program. It's just going to make your life so much better. And I'm specializing in using Rapid Composer, and that's why I'm invested in having all these hotkeys set up, because it's so worth it. So yeah, so we're playing this piano little run, and we want to make changes, and we can change the rhythm. And if I haven't mentioned before, you can get in here and really change the rhythm. You can change every part of it, and you can determine what these stripes here are doing, if they're affecting the velocity accents, or if they're affecting the weights or the length of these different notes, or the timing. So you really, really have so many things you can do here. And some of them you can just generate certain tabs. And again, you have all these different rhythm modules. So, okay, that's fine. Let's go to the generator. And if you notice down here, if I hit generate, nothing happens. Because some generators, because it's a run, this tab down here, you'll find it doesn't always work for very specific generator types. So even if I have auto apply on, I hit the generator button, it's not going to work in this particular case. But all of these will be totally active, and you'll get a whole bunch of different musical ideas. Now let's play it in a more of a straddle type of, and without the middle note. And because it stopped there, because it's too high, the actual piano instrument doesn't go that high. So it just plays up to its register, but you could simply hit the transpose down or just drag it down into the register of the piano. And now it will play right to the top, as long as, because we're up at way at F7, but the piano should go up that high. Now you'll hear the whole run. Okay, so you always have to be aware, like if you're getting frustrated because let's say it was up there way too high, and you're wondering why it's not playing the notes, there's certain things to consider. Make sure it's the generator, make sure you're set up properly, and that it's the instrument can go that high. Always check, and that's why I have all the notes on here. And that's why I'm always aware that I can zoom in with my mod wheel to see how high that register is. But if you're getting results that are frustrating you, it's because something simple like that is going on. So just be aware, it's going to generate all kinds of really neat MIDI notes. But if you're not getting what you expect, it's because the register of your current instrument, and currently we're listening to a piano, which can play very high, but it can't play, to a C9 or a C10 or. So always be aware of what instrument, where the MIDI notes are, and you can always drag them down, you can regenerate them, and you can change the constraints. So, just be aware that the program is going to be offering up all kinds of ideas. It's up to you to be aware of what instruments playing this MIDI that you're generating and experimenting with. So let's keep going here and make even more changes. And this looks interesting. And let's play it. And of course, now it's too low. And that's why I like to have a C always highlighted here. So I always know where if you have it at C3 for your middle C or C4, I know where that green stripe is. And if you get lost, like say you're scrolled way up here and you get lost, always just double click your piano vertical roll and that will take you right back. You want to use the tools that always focus you back onto where you should be, right? So let's listen to this. Now, immediately I'm thinking, wow, that should sound good with short strings. So you could just go in here and you could set up, turn on, I have short strings. And now we can listen to these piano runs, but with short strings. And that'll sound even better if I move it up an octave. Maybe even a little further. But I always know I'll be in A major and the A major chord, right? And now if I want to drag this idea out, I can control drag and bring it and have it play two different chords with that idea. But remember, you've got your looper on here, so just select and hit P and it will adjust to the new size. Okay, that's super neat. Now I can just say, okay, let's keep changing this. I'm getting some good results. So just experiment after experiment. And that's getting too low. Let's bring it up a little bit and make sure it's vertically correct to the measure. Now I could say I want more or less range motion, and you can just say you want more or less notes, and you can change the rhythms. So, and then at any time, I may find that I've got a really good set of MIDI here for these particular strings. I'll save it as, in this case, because the VSL is playing it, and it's really sounding good with this particular articulation set, I would probably select this and right click and save it as something like under here, I would say maybe save it to my short strings folder, and then I would call it VSL short strings test one, or whatever. So you end up getting this huge library of really interesting MIDI that you can focus in on any one of these type of generators. Next, we're going to talk about another generator. All right, so now let's talk about melody generators. And there's quite a few inside the program, and they offer slightly different ideas. But we've dragged in a Markov melody generator, and let's give it a listen. And that's exactly what we get. We get a very simple melody to get us started, and it's conforming to the scale and the chords. And that's often all I will need because melodies, unlike ostinatos, which are, everybody generally knows what an ostinato is for short strings and a piano run. They're not so much personalized, even though you can definitely do that. But a melody is very personal to your specific idea of your song idea. So just keep that in mind. So I don't tend to use, even though we have a full melody editor, and it offers many logical and creative and ways and randomization to give you all kinds of melody ideas. But I like to create my own melodies, but we're given all kinds of tools in the program to, um, that you could manipulate to give you all kinds of ideas for melody. But let's just play what we have here. But before I do, something very important, and we've got to mention, because it's definitely going to be something frustrating if you don't know how this works. Like I said before, if you have melody generators, so phrases that are generators, and you right click, where's my tab for these generators, for these melody generators? They're not working. And there it says it's a generator. It's not been rendered. What's going on? Keep in mind, if you're going to select a generator phrase, in this case, two were generated, always just select one at a time. And now you'll see that the generator and rhythm are here. The tabs are here because I've deselected both and just selected one. If I select this one, I still get the generator. But if I select them both, rubber band, right click, they're gone again. Definitely keep that in mind because it's one of those things that can get you frustrated. The program is extremely powerful and musical, but it's unique, it has its way that it functions. Once you learn this, you will just love this program. So take the time to set up your hotkeys, learn how these systems work, and you'll never look back. All right, so let's talk more about melodies. Like I just said, I like to personalize mine, and here you can just drag out one idea and let's listen. So it's definitely a melody. You can drag it into what register you need for your song. You could try different scales and chords, but it's laid out notes that are going to give you a basic melody. And what I like to do is just select one part of it, and instead of going there, I will just hit F2. Now, first I will render it. So I'll hit my R key. It's rendered, go to F2. And now I will just start taking the notes and start to either make them longer or shorter, but I will create what I consider to be what I want as a melody, right? So it can be, and normally what I love about this is the engine will throw the notes into the correct scale and chords progression. All I have to do is adjust the length, determine how many notes I want, resize them, move them in the general uh, notes of the chord, or I may want it a little spicier and go just notes of the scale. But at this point, I could just hit that hamburger button and I could move it to give me that more information, right? Like we've talked about. I just find it very, very easy to create my own melodies super quick with this type of system. If you want Rapid Composer to just drag in a melody and do it that way and do some edits with these different tabs up here or the editor specifically, feel free. But for me, I just like, because melody for me is always going to be very personal, and the program just puts the notes out and I can quickly edit everything I need. And I can say, well, these are too many notes. I just delete that, drag this out, and I can listen while I'm doing it. Right? So for me, that's all I need. You know, I just take any generator, throw in the notes, and I just take it from there. And within 5 minutes, I have my melody. So there are also all kinds of other generators, and let's just talk about a few of them. But this video is getting rather long, so I will speed it up. So one of my favorite generators is the string staccato generator. And I just want to show that quick and then talk about the pre-made patterns that also exist. Because we obviously have all these different types of musical generators, but we should never forget the thousands of pre-made patterns. So let's just drag in the generator for short strings, staccatos, and I just drag that in. And I can say that, well, we don't need all of those, but we'll take this, hit P, and it'll start playing it. Now I can immediately, go to the generator part of this, and we can see that, it has a whole lot of different ways to change the notes, less notes. Maybe you just don't want that many notes. And maybe you want the density to be higher or lower notes, so we could go low to medium. And then we could go to just higher notes and so on and so forth. And again, we can just change up a bunch of things really quick, and we can do some really quick regeneration right here. But I find that it just gives me really great results almost any way you configure this. But let's just undo this and delete this. Now let's consider that there are hundreds of patterns pre-made for staccatos and all kinds of different for guitars and pianos and all kinds of things. But let's just go for this piano staccato folder and open it up. And now we see we have a whole bunch of different staccato pre-made ideas. And we can just open these folders that will inside of them. And some are 4/4 times, some are 3/4, some are 6/8. But they try to give you different ideas, and some are pertaining to well-known composers from the past, as you can see here, Beethoven and all, Dvorak and all these Gershwin. But let's just open up one, and these are all in 3/4 time, and I select one, and you can see the preview of it up here, and just, drag one of these in, and you can see they're all going to be really kind of interesting and unique. Let's listen. Now let's say we wanted this, and we'll just get rid of this one, hit delete. What if we want a little bit more rhythm, but it's not a generator? Remember, we still have all kinds of tools to do that. Find the highlight bar here and hold down Control, and we can make it smaller. But what we can also do is not hold down Control, and now we compress it, and now it's going to be more rhythm. We hit the P key. And again, we can change the chords really quick to a minor. It's just, and if we want some double bass action at the bottom there, bring it down a little bit. Just mind-boggling how fast you can compose. The program's called Rapid Composer, and that's exactly what it does for you. And all of these, just look at all the different for short strings. But this would also sound really good with piano, and you could separate the low notes to be your left hand low note piano. It's just really pretty awesome what you can do with such a system. And finally, let's talk about a more specific, and there's a couple of them, more specific generators. One of them is the phrase morpher. We'll talk about that next. All right, so now let's talk about a more specialized type of generator, and one of them is the phrase morpher. So what that needs is a phrase, one of your favorite phrases, maybe here, and you could have your other phrase, maybe here, and you can determine a couple measures, one or two, or maybe more measures in between, to morph from this idea to this idea. So let's set that up really quick. So let's get a finger picking with, something with a lot of notes or more notes than, see, pick one that's got quite a few notes in it. That one should do, but we want more of a rhythmic feel, maybe something like that. We drag it out, and I'm just going to quickly add a few more cuts in there. So it's not a generator, so I can render it down, or I can make some edits. Hold down my Alt key and just cut it up a few more times at the basic quarter note type of thing, back to F1. And so we've got our first phrase there. Now let's go to something a little different, maybe like a piano, almost a chord. So we drag out the piano phrase. So we've gone from a finger picking with a lot of notes to basically a big staggered chord here from a piano idea. Now we're going to do an experiment. We've got them 2 measures apart. So let's set this to 2. It's already set to 2 measures, so it's going to generate 2 bars. We go to our phrase morpher, and because it's set up correctly, you have 1 phrase, 2 phrases, and you know how many phrases in between. It's set to 2. We go and click it, drag it out to the edge of the first one, but not over, but right to the edge, about there. And now we should get a morph between this one with a bunch of notes to this one, which is basically a chord. And we can see it here that it's done basically that. It's got notes, but they're turning into a longer chord, fewer notes until here. So it's morphed in between. Now we can select them all with my hotkey, and I can join them with another hotkey, and now we can hit P and we can play the result. So yeah, musically, you can see it's transitioned from all these notes, rhythmic to semi-rhythmic to barely rhythmic to just the chord notes. So don't forget, you have some very specific tools in here to help you do things. So I'm definitely slightly exhausted at this point, and there's more to talk about, and you will find information in the manual. And if you're wondering where the manual is, it's under support. And I should have maybe pointed this out before, but under support tab, there's a lot of great information. It will tell you the current history and what version you're on and what's been updated here. You can send a bug report, send feature request, and support forum, but you can open up the guide, and that will, it's quite a big PDF guide, and that will help explain what those other generators do. You can also check for updates. So very handy and a lot of information there for you to go through. All right, this has been generators, at least one, maybe part one of generators, but I think for the next tutorial, we'll move on to maybe something else. Hope you enjoyed the video. Help to get these videos out to new users of Rapid Composer, because as you can see, there's so much you can do and you can move so quickly as long as you know how the program works. So we'll see you on the next one.